should be better at this.
I should, but we're going now, so that's all that matters. What's up, guys? This is Courtney, one half of the Brothers of Deconstruction here, and this is episode 3 of our Power Rangers Month BoDcast. I brought back two familiar voices, my brother Bruce and my boy John. Hey, don't be talking during the intro, Bruce. Jeez, man.
Well, I'm going to be on every episode for Power Ranger Month, sir.
Well, so he's a series regular. He's advanced from guest to regular.
Man, I don't think that should
at least for Power Ranger Month.
I don't think that should.
He's no longer the Jason David Frank.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
I don't think that should give him the right to just interrupt the intro, though. But
I'm gonna fucking interrupt you whenever I feel like it.
Wow.
I got them older brother rights, sir.
Yo, look, you know what? Fuck you and them rights, all right? Kiss my ass. This is normal for us. People, don't be alarmed. So, the topic of today's episode is going to be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. It just recently had a 23rd anniversary of debuting in theaters. And, yeah, we're going to talk about that shit, y'all.
I'm excited.
I actually watched the movie. We were supposed to do this episode before, but people have jobs and lives, and people be tired, so
and
it
just ended up not
happening. Right. Ended up falling asleep, and it just ended up not happening.
Feeling personally attacked here.
hey, look, see, you didn't even have to take it there. I mean, that was my fault as well. So I was trying to, take some of that blame, but. We just ended up not recording it, so I had to rewatch the movie. But then early on, I felt like before I watched the movie, I was like, shit, I don't think I remember too much about the movie. And then once I watched the movie, I started remembering shit. I was like, okay, do I really need to finish this? So jumping off point, I mean, the movie's been out for 23 years, guys. I didn't see it in theaters. I was fucking 3. No, I was.
You were 5. June 30th, 1995.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't. I don't think I saw that shit in theaters. I remember watching it. I don't think it was in theaters.
I remember watching it in theaters. Go ahead.
Oh, no. My mom hit up the bootleg guy for the bootleg VHS.
Hey.
And that's how I watched it.
Dang.
Good old Chicago.
Nice.
Hey.
So I was lucky enough to watch this in theaters multiple times because this was Power Rangers was that was the thing, man. It's crazy how a couple of years before it was the Turtles, but this was Power Rangers, and I was lucky enough. I caught it at an AMC movie theater. It was one of the biggest movie theaters in Texas at the time because we're in the Dallas area, and luckily enough. Karen Ashley and David Yost, they were doing a tour, a press tour. So I was able to meet them, as I watched the movie. I got this black and white photo. I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it. It was a black and white photo of them, in their costumes. Yes. Yeah. But they signed it, and it was the coolest thing ever. I remember after that, there was an Olive Garden. I mean, I can remember it like it was yesterday, man. I was telling my dad, you don't believe it? I just met the Power Rangers. They're super cool. It was nuts, man. But it was a very, very, very memorable moment. And the movie was just wicked. And I was just so ready for it, man. Yeah. But that's my probably biggest experience of it. And I bet it's one of those things kind of like with you, Courtney, if I watch it, I feel like I haven't watched it in a long time, but if I start watching it, I'm probably gonna just start saying all the lines in unison, everything. It'll just come back to me. So
yeah, it was
I remember it enough though.
Yeah, it was as I was watching it, I was just okay, I kind of remember this part, I kind of remember that part, but then at a certain point, it just got to, I think it was. Where were we at in the movie? It was fairly early on in the movie, after the skydiving and rollerblading scene. I think it was with the kids and how Bulk and Skull landed and everything like that. I had kind of forgotten that part, but then once it got to it, I was like, oh yeah, they did land here. All the construction workers get distracted, and then they release Ivan Ooze, all this and that shit. And I was like, oh okay, yeah, I remember this shit. And then as everything went on, I was like, yeah, I remember that and that and that. Like, all right, cool, I don't need to watch this. I did, but because I'm an idiot. But yeah, Bruce.
My story was, I think it might have been Macaulay Culkin's Page Master VHS that it had a sneak peek of the movie.
Yes, dude, I remember what you're talking about.
Christ.
Yeah, so
Damn.
Courtney, I watched we watched that VHS over at Aunt Bev's, and the only reason I watched it was because it had the Power Ranger sneak peek on it.
Jesus.
And I'm sitting there just just waiting for it. But it was just behind the scenes, like filming the movie stuff and everything. So I was really hyped for this movie. And
dude, I remember that. Wow.
I love
took it back.
I love the fact that that these two are marking out over this shit. I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Well, because I used to watch, it was crazy, like, because now I totally remember what he's talking about. And I used to like keep on rewinding that even before I would watch the Page Master. Like, it'd be like, I gotta watch this again, man. Like, I gotta take everything in. I mean, I'm crazy enough how like 20-something years later, I'm still the same way. Like, anytime a trailer comes out, I'm like, all right, let me examine this thing. Let me watch this like 5 billion times on YouTube.
Oh, man.
But yes, I do remember that. Man.
Yeah, like, so because of that, I asked my mom if she could get me that VHS just for the exact same reason. So then we watched the movie. I don't recall ever seeing it in theaters. I might have. But, it was the whole, the bootleg guy, he got, 2 for $10 and so on and so forth. Then I watched a very jumbled version of that movie. And, it was so, the VHS recording. But, then as I got older, we ended up owning it. And to actually, when we were talking about doing this, I own it on DVD, and I have the cover autographed by every person in the movie except for Amy.
Yep.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm going on Amazon. Let me buy this on VHS. So I watched it on DVD in the living room, and I've been watching it on VHS. And I can still see it through my child eyes. And I was like, yeah, I remember this and how it made me feel. But as an adult, I'm like, this movie is shit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, during the movie, oh my God, I was, there was some harsh realizations that happened watching this. Because the one thing that I will say about Power Rangers, the movie, and the impact that it had on me, I do, till this day, I still remember as a kid, the skydiving scene, because even before, like, more recently, so it was probably like in high school, maybe like late high school, early college, I was like, yo, if I ever get the chance to like shoot a music video, it's basically gonna be a recreation of the skydiving scene from Power Rangers the movie.
Nice.
Like whether it's real skydiving or fake skydiving, because at one point,
that's just
what I was about to say. I noticed in the film when they were all like holding each other before they let go. Aisha and Billy look at each other. I'm like, oh fuck, this is green screen as hell.
Yeah, I did not notice that until I rewatched it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is awful.
I was like oh,
in my mind, green screen. It was like, yeah, they did all their own stunts, jumping out of planes and shit.
Exactly.
Because every time I've watched it before, it's just been in the background.
Yeah, but actually, like sitting down and watching it, start noticing everything.
Yes.
But yeah, I will say that's probably like the biggest impact. It's like, yo, that scene was so cool to me as a kid that later on I was like, you know what? I want to use that as like a base to shoot some type of form of media, whether it's a parody or a music video. Because, people love doing one thing that I've seen a few times is that people love going kind of like retro or nostalgic with like videos or whatever like that.
Yeah, like the Whatever Man video is a Blues Brothers parody.
Or like
from Method Man and Redman.
Yeah. Or Big Sean's Play No Games is basically a Martin episode.
And Bruno Mars just did a fucking In Living Color music video.
Yeah, so it's like, it's very much of that mode. And I was thinking of this like way before, and I was like, you know what? I want to do a music video, but it's gonna be set to like the Power Rangers skydiving scene. Like that shit would be dope as hell. And
that's great.
And it's like the rollerblading scene. Obviously, it was. Like, just watching it, it's just like, oh my God, this is so fucking terrible. But this is great at the same time. Mainly because of the cover to Free Ride.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they actually used Edgar Winter Group's version. I think it was a cover because it sounds a bit different.
Yeah.
Because when I actually sampled that in a beat that I made, at the time that I originally did it, I think I had either just watched the Power Rangers movie or it just randomly popped up in my head. And I was like, I think I had just watched it. And I was like, I need to find out what song this is. So I just looked it up. But the movie was great watching it as a kid, but it's not good.
Oh, man.
It's not good. Like there was a lot of things that I noticed that I was like, nah, this ain't it. This don't add up. looking a little weird.
It's definitely dated. That's for sure.
Oh, yes.
But I think the one thing that I was just really, really enthralled by, and this is just honestly going into Power Rangers, was just the visuals of it, and just the new costume. Like, man, when I saw like the new design for the costume, I was like, oh my God, like this is gonna be a cool ass toy. This is gonna be like, it's just like cool because and it's crazy because now I kind of think that like looking back on them now, like when they're doing their moves and everything, like the pieces are all like flailing everywhere. So I'm like, it's actually kind of whack. Like I'm not really digging it.
Yeah,
but I was just. Oof.
At some point during the movie, I was watching it. And like the designs of the costumes just annoyed me. I don't think I ever realized that there were 2 diamonds on the back of the costume in the show until the movie. And then when I went to go watch like some episodes of Mighty Morphin for some other things that we're doing for the channel, I was like, wait, were the 2 diamonds always on the back of the suits? I don't understand. Like that shit looked ugly as hell in the film. Like I never noticed that. But yeah, it was interesting to go back and watch that movie, man. I just can't explain it.
The one thing that I can say in a positive aspect about this movie as an adult is sitting back and watching it. I remembered vividly watching it as a child, and it spurred into me like the childhood instincts that I had when I saw it for the first time. Like it put me back in those shoes. So I'm like, I was like pushing 12, and I'm like 12-year-old me. I was like, this, like I enjoyed it as a child while I'm an adult, which is much like anything that I'm doing with Power Rangers right now. I'm just sitting back, and it put me in a place where I'm a kid, and I'm just watching like, this isn't that bad from a child perspective. As an adult, I'm like, but I actually told Courtney about this because I started watching it like before he did, and I was like, I'm not with all 3 Power Ranger movies, with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, with Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, and Saban's Power Rangers. I'm noticing that they do not like the cast being Rangers at all. A good portion of these movies, they are not in suit.
Yeah,
that's actually true. Look, like actually, real quick, thinking back on it, yes, like it was more. They spent more time in their street clothes and then in those Ninjetti costumes than in. That's true. Wow.
I was like,
damn,
man, they're not in the, like they're searching for that power. So like with the third act, once again, it feels kind of rushed but at least they put them in a suit in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got that early fight scene with Ivan's monsters out of the way, and then they had to go on the journey and shit.
And then in the first fight against the freaking slime monsters that Ivan Ooze spits out, why don't they run or walk anywhere? They backflip everywhere.
That, you know what? That was one of the things that was like when it, because I think maybe it was a Cinema Sins video, or maybe it was somebody else pointing out. It was some other video. It was somebody's video on Power Rangers the movie, and they was like they asked that question. It was like, yo, why does Billy need to go backflip over to Aisha to see if she's okay or not? Like what purpose, like what purpose is this? And then watching that, I was like, why are you backflipping? Why are you doing this? Like, really, you have to jump off the damn higher ledge and twirl down? What is going on here? There was a lot of
jumping off that higher ledge. There are two scenes where Tommy, or the White Ranger, jumps from a place and lands in a place completely devoid of physics. When he's like, hey, there's a lot of room down there, so he jumps like he does a front flip, but he lands like he just did a backflip. Look, and I'm like,
I'm still trying to figure out the physics of that damn bicycle kick he did. I don't understand how you do a sideways bicycle. Look, my head is starting to hurt. I'm losing energy just talking about this shit. Like, that's how confusing it was. I was like, you know what? I'm going to let you live because this shit was lit when I was a fucking kid. So you're winning because of nostalgia points. But looking at this as an adult, none of this shit makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
also,
it was just mad corny. Like I don't know. It was just a lot of those.
I will say, and I'm kind of
cringe moments.
Yeah, I will say, even though I'm kind of eating, so I'm trying to hurry up and chew before I start talking. One of the best things about the movie, though, I will say, is, and I forget his damn name, and I know he's a very well-known actor. Ivan Ooze's performance.
Paul Freeman?
Yes. He chewed the shit out of some scenery. Like, he knew what type of movie he was in, and he was like, okay, fuck it, let's go. And he turned it up to 11. I love everything about Ivan Ooze's performance in this movie.
Yes. Ivan Ooze makes this movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
I can agree with that. He was definitely a different kind of villain because, I think prior to that, it was everything on TV. So, even though we didn't want to kind of admit it then, sometimes those monsters, those space villains, their voices sounded alike, like Cranston or anybody else, and it was just like, I'm going to get you for that, Rangers. Yeah. But this was like way, way different. This dude was, cocky back with him. He was, joking. And then what was even cooler is, the fact that I didn't even see it coming, but he turns his back on Zed and Rita. So it's like, oh, okay, this guy's, he's going rogue.
Right.
He's overpowering everybody. So, okay, he thinks he's the king. So, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, man. I love everything about it.
What I love about it is, the standard episode breakdown of Mighty Morphin was, hey, today on Power Rangers, monster of the day, in line with a certain theme that's going on. And then the monster doesn't have much other personality, and he's gone. With Ivan Ooze, it was, I know about this badass, Zed, and then Rita, they go and get him. And then he was like, hey, Zordon's still alive. He's like, let me go fuck the Rangers world up.
Right.
And he wrecked the command center before it was cool.
Right.
Hipster Ivan Ooze.
Basically.
And then he came back, he was like, you know what? No, I'm no one's lackey. I'm running the shit. But then he also got his hands dirty. He was like, okay, they're destroying my shit. Now I got to fight them. Let me go fight. So they gave him more personality. Like, he was funny. It was like, we're the Power Rangers. Oh, the Power Rangers. Let me get my autograph book. Like, I laughed so fucking hard at that line last week.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think you're right. I agree. Ivan Ooze makes this movie, and it's everything that both of you guys said. Like, he was he was a threat. He was cocky. He was funny. Like when when Zed start zapping him with the staff and everything, he's like, oh no, haha, that tickles. And I'm like, all right.
What?
I was like, oh, okay then. And he just shakes it off, and then he puts him in a fucking snow globe, and then he shakes it. You know how disrespectful that is. You put somebody in a snow globe, and then you immediately shake it. Dog,
yeah.
He the goat. Sorry. Ivan Ooze God body.
Yeah.
All right. So, my question is, what is your favorite Power Ranger scene in the movie? Just, when they're out doing their Ranger stuff.
I was going to say, because we already know the skydiving scene for me, but Ranger scene, probably, I don't know. It's not just one scene.
Street clothes or Rangers, or all together?
When they actually have their powers, let's put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Because, there's a scene when they don't have powers. And then Jetty powers also count as Ranger powers.
Okay.
I would say, now, I thoroughly remembered the Jetty sequence after they got them and they were doing the test and everything like that when I was watching it. But I would probably say my favorite scene would be the first fight with Ivan Ooze's his Loogie lackeys.
Mm-hmm.
Because that sequence is just so cool to watch. Even with the unnecessary ass backflipping and twirling and shit like that. Just a lot of the choreography and a lot of the way that they shot the film was just cool to watch. You see them.
That's true.
You see them kicking the guys across the construction site and they're splattering in the walls, or they're getting uppercutted in the grates and they're just splattering, and Billy's giving 50 punch combos, and he has this ooze on his they weren't in the suits then, but that was before they morphed. But it still counts because then they immediately morphed afterwards.
Yeah, they still have their powers.
Yeah, but yeah, that entire construction site fight sequence is my favorite thing from the movie, easily. Just because we get so many cool looking moments from it.
Yeah.
What about you, John? While you over there chopping stuff?
Go ahead. Sorry. No. I just screwed into the. I think mine has to be the first morph, because I was as a kid, that's everything I waited for. My two biggest things that I was just not to say that I didn't care about it, but it was just it was already kind of predictable at this point where, okay, Rangers meet them in their street clothes. They kind of get beat up a little bit. Hey, guess we need our powers. Let's morph. Then the monster grows. Then we get the Zords. We kill the monster. Done, So, but I was just so excited for that first morph because I was because I was still, I was just big on the costumes. I was like, man, I can't wait to see, are they going to do something where electricity runs through their body? Is it going to be the show? Is it going to be, so I thought it was cool having the coin zoom and then having the, the whatever the dino coin is, that animal's, roar or scream. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then what else I thought was definitely cool is, usually it's just stock footage. And even sometimes at that point, we would always see the same footage sometimes, just in different areas. So it was cool that, right after they morph, instead of doing flips and then, you begin singing or, begin the whole music video vibe, everything goes quiet and then they're gone. And then, then you see stuff that you don't see because there was stock footage. You see Aisha's flashlights, the headlights. I was all right, that was cool. Yup. And then Rocky's little sensor. I was all right, that's even more cooler.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the middle of the fight, you get new weapons, the Thunder Whip for Pink Ranger, and then the Stegostinger from from Billy. So I'm all right,
I got to be honest.
Even though it was whack, yes.
Yeah.
Stegostinger was whack.
Because, and the video that I watched pointed it out, And it makes sense. Like, how do you expect that though? Like this taser to be able to pull somebody up to the upper level. But continue going on. I didn't mean to ruin.
No.
No.
I want to throw that in. Like, it's a taser, but he just uses it to transport himself someplace where he can just walk. I'm like, what?
Like, bro, I'm pretty sure you can probably jump up there. 2-3 leaps. Catapult yourself off one of the walls and double jump. Like,
not even that, but I think what was even more like just what the hell is when he did the Stegostinger, like gravity would have swung him closer and then just go like straight up.
Yeah.
But he went in like a diagonal pose, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. Look,
it was like the same thing. It was like the same thing as when Tommy did that drop kick.
Yeah.
And he like kind of swooshed down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let that slide.
That's that damn bicycle kick, man. I was watching that shit, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm really supposed to believe he's jumping in a fucking diagonal, and he's staying there to do the bicycle kick?
Yeah,
bruh, nah. Like, Mortal Kombat pulled it off way better.
And it's even like crazy because like he actually jumps. And then, like, he jumps in midair and then, like, freezes and then swings down. So it's like, bro, you didn't even, like, run and then, like, get the, the distance or hang time. You didn't have to do the bicycle kick. You could have just done, like, a Bruce Lee jump off and then just, side kick. Like, that would have been dope. That would have been cool, But
no, they had to ramp it up. Have him kick him, like, 12 times and then finish him with, I guess, a stronger kick into the wall. It would have just been much easier, like you said, if it was a fucking side kick, Bruce Lee side kick from that height, and he just went into the wall and splattered.
Yes. Definitely.
What's your moment, Bruce?
My favorite is the second fight after they get their ninjutsu powers, because it's a more grander scale display of the new powers. Like, I always except for season 3, I always loved when they got new powers on the show. Like, I loved when they got the Thunder Zords. I love when they got the Ninja Zords, or the way they display the Ninja Zords in the series. Like, I just like, oh, they're about to incorporate the movie. Let me see how they do this. Like, I love that. So when they was like, hey, here's this power where you can fight in your civilian mode, but you can also maintain somewhat of your secret identity. And I was like, okay, because I love the Unmore fights. Yeah. It shows me that they're also capable fighters outside of the suits. So I was like, all right, yeah. But then Rocky has to go and ruin it by being Rocky and getting thrown off a fucking cliff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on. He's like, I'm going to jump down. I missed. Now I'm Rocky dangling from. I was like, come on, Rocky.
You know what? I noticed that. I was like, dude, how the fuck did you miss that? Like, it was literally like he just jumped over him and was like, oh, there's no, like, he didn't see that there was no more real estate right there. It was like, bro.
Yeah, they're wild.
Like, I noticed that, and I don't have a hate for Rocky like Bruce does. But
it's not a hate. It's just he wasn't used well.
But you know what I'm getting real fed up with now that I look back on them, on both of the movies? I'm really starting to get mad with Rocky and his and the ways that physics work with him. Like, he is a terrible judgment of like mechanics as far as like jumping and landing and he has terrible spatial awareness. Terrible spatial awareness. I just don't understand. Like, you had that kick and it was like, dude, what the fuck did you just do? Now you're hanging off a fucking cliff. Now Adam has to fucking save your ass. And then in the Turbo movie, but we're not gonna talk about that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I thoroughly remember it, and I fucking hate the fact that I do. But let's stay on topic with a much more enjoyable movie.
Yeah. So, I like that fight scene, and then like it's like, hey, this is a temporary stopgap to get you to the grander power. Like, that wasn't even a grander power that they were going there for. It was just, hey, here's a power up, and then I guess they were the Zords were the power up, from what I can gather.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was like the new coins.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was because it was like the new coins, which unlocked the new Zord. So I think it was the Zord that was actually the power up.
Yeah. But I just really like that fight scene.
Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing that I was like worried about. Well, I was kind of worried about like middle of the movie is when they got the new animals. I was like, whoa, are we gonna get like completely new costumes? Like, are we gonna get, like, is he gonna have like a new Falcon helmet? Is that gonna be? But then, of course, when they, when those animals are in the gold animals are flying through, they come out and I'm like, oh no, it's still them. They just have a,
They just
plus I thought that was really cool. Yeah. Plus I thought that was really cool that in the toys everywhere on Power Rangers, they always had the coin or like the emblem in the chest. And in the show, they never had that.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do they never have that? And in the movies, they did it, you know, for sure. So I thought that was cool. Just another addition there.
And I think I might have seen the movie in theaters because I definitely remember getting that damn McDonald's Morpher.
Man,
that little shitty ass Morpher with all the interchangeable coins and it had the little flip open thing that you can put the Morpher in and lock it in place and it just held it there. I definitely remember having that.
Lo and behold, we had to wait 20 years to get like an actual like good Morpher.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. And look, and even now, because they're re-releasing the Thunder Zord in November, and I was looking for it the other day because I should have bought it like when it dropped down to like 150 or something like that. I just whatever. And I was like, man. And even watching the movie, just like Bruce was saying earlier, you get this rush of feelings back from your childhood. Even then, I was like, I'm really upset that I didn't keep up with my shit. Like the Thunder Zord, Thunder Zord is my favorite Zord. The Thunder Zord is my favorite Zord, and I didn't have the first Megazord toy. I know a lot of people did. Obviously, that's the first one. But again, with me catching most of season 1 through syndication and me and season 2 as well, but it was like, yo, I got the toys from season 2. I had the I had the Thunder Megazord. I had the Ninja Zord. And then it went on into Zeo and everything like that. But the Thunder Zord is my favorite. Like, that shit was so cool to put together, everything else, and it was just like, why the fuck didn't I not keep up with that shit? Because then I wouldn't be, it's great to have, like, the Legacy Collection now, and it's die-cast, and it's much better quality, but at the same time,
adult size.
Right, it's adult size and shit like that. It's made for us. But it's like, damn, man, I really wish I kept track with my fucking Megazord. Like, with all
I never got any of the Zords like to put together. To me, if there was one thing that was like not my favorite, was the Zords. Like, I mean, and I still liked it, but it's like my least favorite is what I'll say. Yeah. And it was only because it just reminded me too much of like Voltron and Transformers. Like at that point, I was like, this is very reminiscent. But I definitely I always appreciated the time that they were in costume and they were doing some karate stuff, and because it was just new and different. But
yeah,
I always got the one Zord that I had. It was a Zord that was like stuck together, and it was like a remote control one. Like you couldn't take it apart.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
I couldn't might have had. But it was like how. Yeah, but other than that, I always got the props, and yeah, man, I was just because that was the thing. Is like it was sort of like the same thing as like, with the Ninja Turtles. It's like, hey, every day after school, I'm Jason, and like you were legit about to like knock somebody out. They're like, no, it's my turn to be Jason. Be like, nah, dude, like we will fight.
Yeah.
Like,
and that, and like, even then, that's another thing. Just like you said, all the props and everything like that. I remember. Well, I did have these toys from the first season of Mighty Morphin, but I had the Power Blaster. With all the all the fucking weapons get put together. Like I had that shit. It was obviously low quality. The fucking power sword was fucking rubber. All the tips and everything was rubber.
It looks like a dagger now, though.
Right. And so it's like, damn, man, like I want my fucking power blaster. Like it's just seeing a whole bunch of shit and just like rewatching shit. Like for the longest, I've always like wanted all of my shit. And I was like, damn, man, I had that. Fuck, why didn't I keep up with it? But,
okay, so I will be completely honest with you now that this is kind of not overgone, and I will digress a little bit later. But I was at a vintage toy shop in Dallas. I kid you not. I don't know if you guys remember it, but the watches that have like their face, and it's like the what's the name of that thing where like it's one image one time and it's another when you like move it around. Holographic, yeah, is the watch, and the morpher was the watch, but inside the morpher it's a picture of like the actor, but then when you move it, it's back to like the Ranger.
Huh. I remember those.
They had those at this vintage shop that I was at today. They just didn't have Jason, so I was like, yeah, not interested.
Yeah.
But yes, they had them, and I was just like, dang, like man, these are old school. Yeah. Like, wow.
With the toys from the movie, I love how everything was just, we're going to paint you shiny paint. And then I was like, I need all of these. Even the stuff that I already had, I was like, I can't, like, it's from the movie. Nothing was different. The suits did not look like the suits in the movie. It's the same toys, just with a shinier paint.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so great. But then...
Sounds oddly familiar, doesn't it?
But then
I wish I had a soundboard. I'll be letting gunshots off so fucking hard right now.
But then they what was it? They released the Ninjetti figures, and then I was like, I want a Ninjetti figure. It was like I kind of want Billy, like, because after Jason left, Billy kind of became my go-to Ranger after the movie, and I was like, oh, Billy's just great. So I was like, I kind of need that Billy. So the movie shifted my focus from being Red Ranger centric to being Blue Ranger centric.
Okay,
that's good.
Yeah, but let's see. What's the one part of the movie that made you cringe the most?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
That's a good question, man. Probably. Oh, Bruce already knows, and if he doesn't, he probably has an idea of where I'm going. So. There's one point in the movie after they get the Ninjetti costumes, they're fighting the what's the name of the birds?
The Tengus.
Tengu.
Yeah, Tengus. I forgot the name. For some odd reason I wanted to say lagoons or some shit. They're fighting the Tengus. No, they might have been fighting the rock monsters. At some point in the movie, Kim gets attacked, and she screams out for Tommy.
No, that's when they land on Thanos, and the Tengus land after her, and they just pick her up.
Yeah, and it was like, Tommy! And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. I was like, this is the beginning of the end. The nerfage of Kimberly.
The one that made me cringe is the scene right before that when her and Tommy are trying to get all sentimental and I have like a heart-to-heart about Zordon, and I'm like, this is just awkward. Like Amy Jo Johnson was holding her own, but then Jason David Frank had to try to match her level of emotion and acting skill, which he just doesn't have. And I'm like, this hurts to watch. It's just like it's they're not on the same level with this.
Yeah,
and it was just weird. I seriously had to look away from the screen at that point.
That's hilarious. What about you, John?
Man, I'm trying to see like what was the part that I probably cringed the most.
I was gonna say it's probably a lot of moments in the movie. There are definitely a lot
there
of
is.
moments.
I think there is, but I think it was something where it was other than the Rangers, because to me the Rangers were just doing what they do. I think it was the whole B plot with is it Frank was the kid's name?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Frank, and the whole kids trying to save their parents kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, anytime that was on screen, I was like, can we just get back to the Rangers? Like, I don't need to see this, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, that was probably my most cringe moments. I mean, I know they probably needed Frank for the same reason, like Justin was in the Turbo movie. It's like, hey, let's get a kid to get, to give the kids experience of what it was like, what it'd be like to be friends with the Power Rangers and stuff like that. And I'm just like,
let's not get started on Justin.
Yeah, I know. So I'm just saying that was, if you want to call that like pre-Justin.
I was gonna say that too, and I was like, fuck. Like, don't make me hate this movie.
But yeah.
One thing I do question.
My cringe movie.
One thing I do question is when they were saving the parents with the fire hose, and I was like, obviously that wouldn't really work, and you probably be tearing those kids' backs up with this high-powered ass fucking fire hose.
I noticed that they were not hitting the parents. It was just the kids just taking the shots to the back. I'm like,
yeah, and I was like, I don't know how that's supposed to help, but okay.
Yeah, that was just like, I don't know. I couldn't wait to get back to the Rangers at that point. I was like, yeah, this is just whack, man.
Yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, and then I also noticed that a lot of the background actors are trying to hold back their Australian accents. Like Frank's dad, when he was like talking to Tommy after he landed from skydiving, and I just go, that dude has an accent, and it is noticeable.
I didn't notice any other accents, but I believe it. I absolutely believe it.
Well, they filmed in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it had to have been. Huh. I just now noticed that. I didn't put two and two together.
It's hilarious that I noticed the fucking green screen and not the accent.
There are a lot of accents too. It's not just one person.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And okay, now I have to bring this up, but the final fight when there's a failsafe that kicks a monster in the dick on the swords. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
the whole
that was cringe.
Yeah, the whole knee to the. You know what? I'm changing mine. The whole knee. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna change it. That's probably my biggest eye roll moment. Not cringe, but it's my biggest eye roll moment. Cause I'm like, really?
Like that was your button in the glass moment. Right. Like, okay.
Like not a chest missile, not a fucking.
Not a power sword.
Right. Not a button that like makes one of the heads of the Zords like pop out to push them off of you. No, it's a fucking knee. It's a convenient ass at that knee to the groin that somehow propels him into a backflip in space. Or no, a frontward flip. I'm sorry, a frontward flip. Let's not forget.
Yeah. Oh yes.
A front flip in space
all the way until he hits the comet.
Yeah, until the comet hits him. I was like, this is the most convenient fucking ending. But hey, after everything that we just got, I can't blame him for wrapping it up like that.
Yeah, they did need a way to wrap it up, but a knee to the dick is.
It's a little low. It's a little different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like in that time, everything was about, like, I don't know, about you guys, but seeing on the news and like when parents watch TV, the whole phenomenon was like, is television like getting too violent? Because you had like Ninja Turtles, then you had Power Rangers as ninjas, pro wrestling was another one. Like, we're always doing moves like that, like, and stuff. So I think looking back at it, my personal opinion on that ending with the comet like destroying Ivan, it's like, well, they weren't gonna. The Rangers weren't gonna stab him or slay him, or something like that. So I don't know. I thought that was a whack finish too. Like just adding on to your little, knee to the groin, in case of emergencies button. Like really, like you ain't got the nuke or something. You did a knee to the groin. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched the movie on like basic television, like back when Jetix and ABC Family was a thing. I watched the movie on ABC Family, and they cut the dick kick out. So it's just that, so it's just that Aisha breaking the glass, pushing the button, and then Ivan Ooze just falling back into
just
the comic.
Floating away.
Comic. Yes.
Wow.
That's great. That is absolutely great.
Well, that just adds on to my theory, I guess. Like
I was like, wait, something's missing. I was just trying to was like, wait. I was like, because here comes the growing shot, and then it just disappears. I'm like, what?
Well, like, and like, I know what that I kind of get as an adult, or like maybe I'm not a parent, but I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, I guess parents wouldn't want their kids being like, man, these 5 teenagers just like stuck it, they shanked them with a big old power sword. Like, dang, like it wasn't like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it, like, they were just violence in television was like, growing at that time, stylized kind of violence. I mean, hell, I'm not gonna lie, man. I had a friend at the apartment complex that I lived in. We played Power Rangers. That dude tried to do one of those Bruce Lee kicks, and he fell on his arm, broke his arm. I was like, ooh.
Everybody had one of those moments where they tried to.
Luckily, I didn't. Yeah, luckily,
yeah. I didn't break it. I didn't break anything, but I've definitely gotten into like play fights with my cousin, and it was hilarious. My other brother, he brought it up like a few years ago. I forgot what we were talking about. He was like, Courtney, I remember when you and Pierre were fighting and you swore up and down you were a Power Ranger and you tried to do one of those kicks and he parried the fuck out of that. And I was like, hey, what can I say?
Uh-huh.
There's really nothing I can say against that.
You gotta be safe, man.
And then one of the things that also makes that confusing is, when they brought over the Sentai footage, those Zords finisher was a wolf and an 8-punch, so you didn't have to kick him in the dick. it was just a
hilarious.
Punch and a punch. And I'm like, all right, but I guess kicking needs to throwing.
Yeah, got to have that toilet humor, I guess.
But I mean, yeah.
Since we're coming to a close, I just wanted to bring up really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it was because of the time. It's 1995. CG wasn't where it needed to be. Was I the only person that hated the look of the Zord?
No.
Yes. No, you weren't the only person.
Because that shit looked, even Ivan's version, that shit looked really weird. The Megazord looked weird, and I was like, y'all guys couldn't have gotten it to look at least a little bit more like the fucking actual Megazord. I don't understand.
Yeah, like
and we saw that at PMC
scene, too. Yeah, that fight scene just threw me off. The final, like, Megazord, hey, like I like the scene of them, joining in the cockpit together, but then once it was gone, like, cause it felt slow to me, that fight scene, like a telegraph swing and telegraph block, a super slow punch, and it's just like it wasn't crisp as it could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1995, but you could have had a crisper fight.
Yeah.
I would have much rather had, just people in suits like the show.
Like Triple T
and
Ivan Ooze or I don't know what number you would call that. Like 6-on-1 fight against Ivan Ooze.
Because even though it was a kid, again, and maybe this was just me, Zords it was my least favorite, segment of the show. But even then, it was just like, oh, that's a dude in a suit. That's cool. When you understand movie making, you're like, oh, they did miniature skyscrapers, and like, come on. Like, if they're doing that with that weak, Japanese budget, you can't tell me with an American multi-million-dollar movie that they couldn't have just been like, we'll probably do some animatronics, something, but no, we're going to go with the weak CGI. Because again, like, you're right, this is 1995. Like, we saw, like, Jurassic Park came out like 2 years before that. And that movie, like, still has clout. Like, I'm still fooled sometimes, and I'm like, dang, is that CG, or is that, like, some animatronic stuff?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, man. You are not alone on that. Like, I was just like, wow, just more proof for me to be like, wow, I hate the Zords. Like at this point. But that's actually super crazy. Like looking back on it now, watching the show on Netflix when they have the Ninja Zords on the show are sick. Like, I love them.
It took me back when I first saw it transitioned to the series, and I was like, okay, let's see how. And then it was like, oh, okay, they're more in line with each other. Like it's a smoother transition in a fight and whatnot. And I was like, all right, okay, no. 3 episodes in, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can. And then Ninja ruined it, but hey, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, you hate Ninja.
I hate a lot of stuff.
I hate a lot of stuff in Power Rangers, if we being honest. But that might be another conversation for a different day as well.
We wouldn't be fans. We wouldn't be fans unless there was things that we didn't like. I mean, for real. True.
Hey, look, I still think that for the last episode, I want to get people together and really, really discuss, like, yo, Power Rangers ain't really all that great. Somebody needs to say it. It's like, look, this is great for what it was, what it did for kids and everything like that. But look, it's not great at all, guys. Like I think some of y'all taking a little too to the extreme, just a tad bit. But that conversation definitely needs to be had. The overall opinion or state of Power Rangers or whatever like that. But we'll save that for sometime later, maybe. Anything else about the movie or anything like that?
It ends with possibly like 3 of the greatest songs in closing credit history. It starts off with Trouble by Shampoo. Then it hits with Snaps, I've Got the Power. And then the orchestra version of the theme song are all 3 great songs. That's it for me.
Look, I just need some more. Hell, I might go listen to Free Ride. That's a catchy ass song, man. I'm not gonna lie. That was a catchy ass song, and I mean, what more could you want?
Truth.
Let me see if I can.
I just think it's a dated flick, but there's a lot of nostalgia around it. So looking back at it now, it's got more bad than good, but it definitely lets you appreciate the fandom like more. Like looking at the show now, it made me love the show more.
Yeah. Well, that'll be all from us, guys. I really wish I could cue up this song. I don't know if it's recording now. If it's not, I'm gonna just put it into the credits. I'm currently playing Trouble.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the same effect if nobody else can hear it.
I hear it in my head, so it works for me.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I don't even think it's recording on the damn podcast right now. So I'm gonna have to get like a soundboard or learn how to do that or something. I'll just put it in at some point and we'll just fade out like that. Hopefully it'll be okay to use, of course. Damn, maybe I shouldn't put it in here.
Just don't play the whole thing.
How you get around copyright. 10 seconds.
Yeah.
10 seconds. All right, bet. But that'll be all from us, folks. Stay tuned. More episodes of the Power Rangers Month BoDcast. I've been John. No, I haven't.
I was about to say, you sound a lot like Courtney to me.
Yeah. I'm trying to do that whole signing off for everybody thing. So I'm Courtney, and for Bruce and John, that'll be all, folks. Stay tuned. Keep track of everything. We got some more stuff coming to the channel. Thanks for listening, guys. Peace out.
Later.